Israel made it clear that it now regards Hezbollah as a division of the Syrian army, and that reprisals against Syria will be fast and devastating. Apparently, the message was meant to reinforce a previous warning by Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman. Earlier this year, he warned Syria that if a war breaks out, the Assad dynasty will lose its power and will cease to reign in Syria. The Sunday Times also quoted another Israeli minister who spoke off the record. He warned, "We'll return Syria to the Stone Age by crippling its power stations, ports, fuel storage, and every bit of strategic infrastructure if Hezbollah dares to launch a ballistic missile against us." Over the past few months, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has threatened Israel with various reprisals. Among other things, he promised that any attack on Beirut's airport would be followed by a rocket attack on Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport. Before now, Hezbollah's missiles could not reach Tel Aviv. The Israelis see the supply of Scud missiles to Hezbollah as a serious threat. The Israeli cabinet minister, who spoke off the record also, noted that this is the first time that an internationally known terror organization has been equipped with ballistic missiles. Israel consistently has the best intelligence in the Middle East. It knows that its very survival depends upon knowing the intentions of hostile neighbors, of which Syria is the worst. But Israel must live in the real world. Their survival allows no margin for error. Observers believe that Syria has one of the largest chemical and biological arsenals in the Middle East. Israel has already promised to end the Assad dynasty if it is attacked by Hezbollah. The question is, what will Assad do to survive? Faced with the challenge of his own survival, not to mention that of his country, will he use his chemical or biological weaponry? No doubt he's already asked himself that question, and if he's willing to risk it, he's already answered it as well. Maybe he feels himself safe from nuclear retaliation, either because of Damascus's proximity to Israel or because of Israel's fear of an Iranian counterattack. In either case, he's wrong. Israel is rumored to have developed nuclear weapons, including neutron bombs, which are suitable for use in the cramped quarters of the Middle East. In the event Syria launches a gas attack on Israel, it's pretty much a certainty that Damascus will be instantly obliterated by Israeli nuclear weapons. The thought of being gassed evokes a subliminal, visceral response among Israel's survivors of the gas chambers of Nazi Germany and their descendants. Israel's enemies underestimate this latent phenomena at their peril. The Bible speaks of two great wars of annihilation against Israel in these last days. The first results in the destruction of Damascus and its allies. Concerning Damascus, the prophet Isaiah prophesied, "An oracle concerning Damascus. See, Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins. The fortified city will disappear from Ephraim, and royal power from Damascus. The remnant of Aram will be like the glory of the Israelites, declares the Lord Almighty." Throughout all its long history, Damascus has never been totally destroyed and abandoned. It is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world. But according to Isaiah, the burden of Damascus is tied to some catastrophic event that befalls Israel in the last days. In that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob will wane, and the fatness of his flesh grow lean. Yet gleaning grapes will be left in it, like the shaking of an olive tree, 2 or 3 olives at the top of the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in its most fruitful branches, says the Lord God of Israel. It comes as part of a catastrophe that involves many other nations as well. This major war, centered around today's looming Israel-Syria conflict, fits Isaiah's prophecy like a glove. The nations will rush like the rushing of many waters, but God will rebuke them, and they will flee far away, and be chased like the chaff of the mountains before the wind, like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. The prophet says that Israel will survive, but Damascus will not. And most significantly, the destruction of Damascus will be virtually instantaneous. And behold, at eventide, trouble, and before the morning, it is not.